Good morning, everyone. It is great to be here with you today. This is my first time presenting at JNUC. It's only taken 16 years, so let's see if this happens again next year, right? So as said, my name is Christos Drosos. I am a Mac consulting engineer. Today's session will focus on what's new with deployment and management. I'll cover the latest in MDM, managed software updates. We'll talk about Apple Configurator, new management capabilities for the Mac, iPhone, and iPad. So, what a great year at DubDub this year. Developers gathered virtually for an inspiring week of technology. Apple previewed its latest platforms and technologies in sessions, labs, and digital lounges, all online and at no cost. Make sure you check out the DubDub content on developer.apple.com or in the Apple Developer app. New versions of iOS, iPadOS, and macOS were released to make people everywhere more productive and more collaborative. macOS Ventura adds continuity camera so that you can use your iPhone as a Mac webcam for better video quality and remote meetings and classes. And with an all-new Stage Manager to stay focused while easily moving between tasks. With iPadOS 16, iPads with the M1 chip will have full external display support and Stage Manager 2. And with iOS 16, all new lock screen with widgets and more. With macOS Ventura, iOS, and iPadOS 16, there are a great many enhancements and features that your end users will love. In the world of device management, it is our shared responsibility to enable employees to thrive in the workforce and student-teacher productivity. We're continually developing new tools and technologies to help foster collaboration. We make it our goal to get these devices into users' hands and to quickly reduce the friction that comes as part of the deployment process. We want it to be easy for you to scale your iPhone, iPad, and Mac deployments. We want you to be well prepared for the rollout. Today, I'll focus on Apple Configurator, deploying macOS Ventura, MDM updates for iOS and iPadOS 16, improvements to user enrollment, and exciting updates to declarative device management. First, let's look at Apple Configurator, a quick way to prepare devices for entry into Apple School Manager or Apple Business Manager. Last year, Configurator for iPhone introduced the ability to add a Mac to your ABM or ASM, no matter where the device was purchased, allowing you to use Apple automated device enrollment. This works with all computers with the T2 chip or Apple Silicon. This was a huge request from you. Your feedback does matter, and it is a gift. Now with Apple Configurator for iPhone, you can also add iPhone and iPad devices to your organization. These devices need to be running iOS 16 or iPadOS 16. This works just as you'd expect, just like adding a Mac. Simply hold your iPhone up to the cloud, and the device will be paired and added to your organization. It's a great new alternative to using the same feature on Configurator for Mac, which requires connecting each device to a Mac running Configurator. Once this is complete, just head over to ABM or ASM, and then move the device from the configurator pool into the server, tying it to your Jamf server. That's what's new for Apple Configurator for iPhone. This year, with macOS Ventura, we're introducing a number of new Mac management features we know admins will be excited about. Devices in Apple School Manager, Apple Business Manager will be configured to use automated device enrollment, providing zero-touch deployment for a zero-touch deployment experience for admins. Speaking to many of you, ABE has been a great way to have folks be productive at work and at school since March 2020. Automated device enrollment allows admins to define which setup assistance screens to skip, and this makes setup even smoother for the user. When a user turns on their Mac, selects their language, selects their country, Enrollment into MDM is integrated right into the familiar setup assistant experience. Once a device is enrolled, you can see in the MDM settings listed in System Settings. Here we can see the new system settings in macOS Ventura. It's redesigned to be easier to navigate and instantly familiar to iPhone and iPad users. The Profiles pane shows you how the Mac is managed and what settings have been deployed. This makes it clear to administrators and users as to the management of the device and what MDM capabilities are in effect. Additionally, apps can be deployed using an app catalog like Jamf Self-Service. Automated device enrollment requires internet access during Setup Assistant to receive the initial configuration and enrollment experience from MDM. However, internet connections can be bypassed accidentally, or as you've seen, explicitly by users. To help ensure that organization-owned devices get the correct setup process, Macs that go through setup experience for the first time will always require internet connectivity the next time around. The first time Mac goes through the setup assistant experience, the device will know that it belongs to an organization. As long as the device remains registered in your ABM or ASM, the device will always require internet connectivity to go through setup assistant after that. For Mac, Migration Assistant allows migration of apps, files, and settings. Migration Assistant can be used during the setup assistant experience, or it can be used by launching it from the Finder. In macOS Ventura, to avoid conflicts with management of a previous MDM, we will now not move over MDM configuration, printers, or network settings. So let Jamf configure what Jamf will configure. This allows for a migration experience that was more friendly for MDM and for the administrators. Note that both Macs must be enrolled in MDM for this to work. Managed Software Update allows IT to defer updates for up to 90 days. And then you have the time to test and then deploy it when you're ready. macOS Monterey introduced new controls with the ability to defer an update, providing a deferral quota, so that gives users a certain amount of times that they can pick to want to do the update, what's convenient for them. New in macOS Ventura, MDM will get better reporting on the number of deferrals remaining. Additionally, MDM commands for software update will now acknowledge and respond even if a device is in sleep or in power nap mode. Lastly, a priority status can be set for scheduling the priority of downloading and preparing the requested update. Finally, iPadOS 16, iOS 16, and macOS 13 introduced a new mechanism for shipping security fixes even faster. These responses will be included in the next minor update. Rapid security responses don't adhere to managed software update delay. They apply only to the last minor update. If that minor operating system update is deferred, so is the RSR. The users can also remove an RSR if necessary. From an MDM perspective, you can allow or disallow the installation, or you can allow and disallow the removal of an RSR. I'd like to spend a few moments on an important topic you may have noticed in macOS Ventura Beta 1. macOS Ventura supports a new mechanism for locking login items. This is only supported for user-approved MDMs. A new profile payload type will specify the rules to match bundle ID, launch D label, or the team identifier, both an exact string comparison or an exact string prefix comparison. Matched login items are considered to be managed. Such items will be automatically enabled without notifying the user, and will be locked in system settings to prevent the users from disabling them. This allows you, the IT admins, to ensure the right services are running when the user is logged in. And we think users and your help desk will appreciate not being pinged by notifications. I got some work to do. Here's the full list of MDM updates for this year. There are additional restrictions of payload modifications, such as the ability to allow universal control or the ability to control if configuration profiles can be installed manually. That's what's new for macOS Ventura. Now I'll hand it over to me to talk about iOS and iPadOS 16. Now, let's shift the focus to iPhone and iPad. iPadOS 16 takes the versatility of iPad even further and more powerful productivity features like Stage Manager and collaborative features like the new Freeform collaboration whiteboard app. And iOS 16 adds more personalization with the lock screen, with photos, customized widgets, and even the way you get notifications. Just as we saw with macOS zero-touch deployment, the best way for IT to deploy Mac in organizational settings is using the same process. Let's take a look at this unboxing. When a user turns on the device for the first time, selects their language and country, Enroll in MDM is integrated into the familiar setup assistant experience. The user is brought to the home screen and the device is configured. That's pretty easy. The Settings app makes it clear to both administrators and to users as to the management state of their device and the MDM capabilities that are in use. Starting in iOS and iPadOS 16, you'll now be able to install applications during automated device enrollment before a user gets to their home screen. Any apps assigned to the device will automatically get installed during setup assistant process, ensuring the users have everything they need before they hit the home screen. We recommend using device-based app assignment, which do not require an Apple ID. It's also important to know that this feature only works with supervised devices. iOS 16 and iPadOS 16 will also add support for PIV smart cards and for CCID compliant readers, which is currently supported in macOS, and we're bringing it to iOS and iPadOS. This will allow smart card PIV tokens to be used for cryptographic operations natively in supported apps and Safari. Administrators should contact their developers to see if their CCID reader will be compatible without requiring third-party software. Now, let's look at new cellular management capabilities. eSIM has become the new standard for carriers around the world over the last few years, and we've added a number of MDM features to make managing eSIM even easier. IT teams can query data from an enrolled device and provide data to carriers, and then you can initiate the installation of an eSIM directly to a device. And to prevent users from accidentally removing their eSIM, IT admins can also apply eSIM modification restriction. iPadOS 16 will provide support for private LTE and 5G networks. iPad devices will be able to connect to these data-only private networks using physical SIMs and eSIMs. Managed iPads can be remotely configured using a configuration profile containing the cellular payload with the proper settings. With iOS 16 and iPadOS 16, IT teams will be able to remotely add accessibility settings with MDM commands. With these options, admins that are managing devices in schools, restaurants, and hospitals can be more accessible for all users. Be aware that these settings are not locked after they're set. This allows the user to change them to their unique experience and needs. Jamf server can also query these settings with a device information query. Shared iPad allows organizations to share devices between users. While still providing a personalized experience, the users can sign in with their managed Apple ID, which can be federated with Microsoft or Google. Temporary sessions was introduced as a quick way to allow any user use a shared iPad without needing to create a managed Apple ID, so any data created, including browsing history, by the user during a temporary session is removed when they log out. Bless you. New this year, default domains can be also included, for example, townshipschools.org, to make signing into shared iPad even easier. After entering the username portion of a managed Apple ID, the user can select their account type from a list of QuickType keyboard. This will make signing in quicker for students or anyone that has a long managed Apple ID. Additionally, admins can choose to enforce remote authentication always or by setting the number of days, providing the flexibility to determine when remote passcode changes take effect on existing cache sign-ins. In addition to everything we've discussed today, there's even more changes that you can check out on our documentation at developer.apple.com. Next, let's take a look at what's new for BYOD deployments. Security and privacy at the heart of everything we do at Apple. User enrollment is a great device management option that incorporates both. Its design allows for the user to be comfortable with their privacy, and their personal data is protected, and the organization be confident that their data is secure. User enrollment is based on managed Apple IDs, and it provides access to Apple services such as iCloud. The managed Apple ID can be used in combination with a personal Apple ID, and the user has already signed in with, and the two do not interact with each other. User enrollment protects the privacy of the users through data separation and curated management capabilities, which I'll touch on later. As you saw during the keynote, streamlined user enrollment process is built right into the Settings app, make it easier for users to enroll their devices. To begin, the user navigates to redesigned VPN and MDM management section settings, taps the sign in with work or school. They enter in their managed Apple ID, and Service Discovery will identify the MDM enrollment URL. When the user is signed in, a new management account is prominently displayed in the Settings app. iOS 16 and iPadOS 16 will provide support for OAuth 2.0. This allows MDM solutions to implement a first-class support for many identity providers to support OAuth for user authentication. OAuth is a great solution for this account-driven design. It provides even better user experience when combined with a new feature, Enrollment SSO. Enrollment SSO is designed to make user enrollment faster and easier by reducing the number of sign-ins required during enrollment. This is accomplished by installing an identity app, using it to handle repeated authentication during and after the enrollment process. Users start out by entering their email address in Settings. They're then prompted to download the app from the App Store. This app provides the UI to perform the authentication steps. A user only needs to sign in once. This app will use that sign-in to get through the enrollment flow and without having to sign in again. A native app experience provides a richer experience, and users will have more authentication options. IT teams will provision and manage Apple ID through ASM or ABM, and you'll be able to configure the feature within Jamf. Data separation creates a separate and secure APFS volume for organization-owned devices, organization-owned data from managed apps and managed accounts, keeping personal content away. In iOS and iPadOS 16, Calendar will support full data separation with devices using user enrollment. When the user signs in, managed Apple ID, the app will create a second database containing all the events and metadata for your own organization's calendars. Additionally, managed Apple IDs will support CloudKit for reminders. Users will take advantage of all the reminders capabilities, custom smart lists, reminder notifications, reminder assignments with their managed Apple ID, alongside reminders with their personal Apple ID. Managed capabilities are curated specifically for user enrollment. So IT can configure settings, require a passcode, deploy apps, but they can't access personal information or wipe your device. With these capabilities, you can get details about MDM installed apps, but not about personal apps. You cannot access personal information, a user's location, or remotely wipe the entire device. But you do have the ability to remove your data, your apps, at any time. This is how user enrollment balances privacy with the need to secure your organization's data. Expanding per-app managed network capabilities, new DNS proxies and web content filters will be available for devices enrolled in user enrollment running iOS 16 or iPadOS 16. This means only network traffic by managed apps will be passed through DNS proxy, web content filter, or both. The user's personal traffic stays separated and won't be filtered or proxied by the organization. This is accomplished by using UUID key value pairs in the DNS proxy and web content filter. And I'll hand it back to me to take us through DDM. Thanks, me. Next, let's. I was going to do a monologue, but. So let's look at DDM. Last year, we introduced declarative device management, a new paradigm for managing Apple devices for re-envisioning the MDM protocol itself. Declarative device management is powerful because it allows the device to be autonomous and proactive. The device is autonomous as it reacts to its own state and applies management logic itself without prompting from the server. The device is proactive. The status channel will asynchronously report stuff back to the server, and when an important state change occurs, it'll avoid the need for the server to pull the device. For IT admins, the declarative approach inspires more confidence that the device is in an expected state. For users, device management becomes more responsive and reliable with faster onboarding, quicker recovery times, and better support for their organization. There are two key elements of the declarative device management data model: declarations and status. Declarations represent the policies an organization wants to enforce on devices. Activations and optional predicates determines if configurations will be applied to the device. Configurations and assets let IT define correct settings and content devices should have, while management declarations specify what state the device is in and what's possible from the server. With a new status channel, this allows the device to practically update its server with new information about itself. And extensibility is built into the protocol, ensuring that we'll have DDM is built for the present and the future. DDM began with the support for user enrollment in iOS and iPadOS 16. This year, we're expanding to all enrollment types, including automated device enrollment, manual profile enrollments, and even shared iPad. And now available to all platforms, including macOS and tvOS. This provides full support for DDM to all devices that support MDM. Status reporting allows the device to share information about its current state, and if there are any changes, these can be reported to the server proactively without having to poll the device for its updates. In addition to device properties, the status now reports passcode presence and compliance, accounts, and MDM setup, app installation, and information. Activations can now use an extended predicate syntax, including status, to support more complex predicate expressions. In addition, new management properties and declarations allow servers to set arbitrary properties on the device, which can be directly used in activation predicates. That's an update on DDM, expanding to all platforms, all enrollment types, and new status and predicates will help you better manage Apple devices. Check out what's new in the section about declarative device management to learn more. So that's what's new for deployment this year. Quickly add iPhone, iPad, and Mac to your organization with Apple Configurator for iPhone, updates enrolling iOS, iPadOS, and macOS, plus software update enhancements and rapid security responses to keep devices up to date. And lastly, an update to DDM, bringing declarative device management to everywhere. We can't wait to see where Jamf takes this. Finally, some resources to check out. To help IT get ready for all these new changes, Appleseed for IT provides access to betas, along with in-depth beta documentation and release notes for ITs to focus on workflows. Customers can visit appleseed.apple.com, access the program with their managed Apple ID. Don't forget the /IT on the URL. If that isn't enough to sign up for Appleseed for IT, here's a sweetener. Mac Evaluation Utility is a utility that allows your organization to identify if they're ready to deploy Mac at scale. MEU checks for network services and Apple resource to make sure the devices can go through an automated device enrollment experience. It'll check for essential services like Apple push notification, time servers, and automated device enrollment. It also examines devices' policies to see if it meets what we would consider best practices. The results can be shared with colleagues or partners, and we can help you build a successful Mac as choice or standard program. You can find MEU under the download section at appleseed.apple.com/IT. Apple Professional Training supports IT pros to get the skills they need to support, deploy, and manage Apple devices. Self-paced online courses allow flexible learning schedules, and you can take the certification exams from your home or your office. And after you've passed the exam, you can display your verified digital badge on any social networking site you like. Visit training.apple.com to get started. The Apple Platform Deployment Reference is a technical document covering the topics I've discussed today. APD includes supporting information about infrastructure and service integration for the deployment of Apple products and services. Thank you for joining me today.